So here's something interesting. For 3 years, South Africa's passenger rail heartbeat actually stopped. Well, not really. But the cables were stripped by vandals, stations were gutted, communities started to become isolated. What was once Africa's finest rail network became a symbol of infrastructure collapse. But something remarkable is happening. Across 4 regions, in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, as well as the Western Cape, trains are moving again, and it's a beautiful sight. Not just moving, but transforming how millions of South Africans access work, education, and even job opportunities. So in this series, I'm going to take you inside PRASA's transformation. Over the next coming episodes, we'll ride the rails through the regions, examine what has collapsed, but what's being rebuilt, what's coming back, what this all means for communities reconnecting with economic centers after years of isolation. So as you might see behind me, we're starting here in Park Station, Johannesburg, the nerve center of Gauteng's commuter network, because what happens in this province sets the tone for the entire country. If passenger rail services work in Gauteng, they'll catalyze the working of those services everywhere else around the country. PRASA calls their new revitalized trains the People's Train. And the name captures everything that this transformation hopes to represent. This is affordable, reliable, and accessible transport designed to serve everybody from daily commuters to families heading home for the weekend and even for events. What the People's Train ultimately means is that a worker from Soweto can afford to reach Johannesburg every single day affordably. It means students can access universities without choosing between transportation and textbooks. It means that a family can take the train to Ellis Park for a rugby match or to Soccer City for a concert. Sometimes even for free with an event ticket, because that's something that PRASA has been doing to ensure that people understand that the trains are running and they're doing so safely, effectively and efficiently. If you actually think about it, this is what rail looks like as a community infrastructure. When the Scorpion Kings performed, PRASA provided trains. When the rugby matches filled up Loftus and even Ellis Park, special trains ran to make sure that it was efficient to get there. Once the Soccer City line reopens, even more South Africans will be able to access major events affordably and safely every single time. For Orlando Stadium though, there already is a station that's pretty close to the stadium, which allows lots of fans and other people to attend sports, cultural and other types of events pretty conveniently. The focus of this series is on the rebuilding of the trust after years of decay and a little bit of errant management. Modern amenities like air conditions now exist, comfortable seating, clean coaches, all of the signals that this isn't just a restored service, it's an improved service. Some routes offer spectacular scenery, which I pretty much had never seen before. All the routes offer something previously out of reach for many people. Reliable, dignified transport at prices that don't devastate household budgets. PRASA, why are you Spanish PRASA?
PRASA, I think it's more easier in the transport facility esisebenzisayo makes a difference in the it's affordable for everyone in the community.
Oh, okay. Yes, the one thing engibonile is that mina ngiyaqala ukugibela to inner lady line, and the one thing engibonile is that it's actually faster than what I thought, because if for instance you see my taxi buzolinda my taxi buzothini, so if you schedule uyithole kahle via grant, so ngeviki uspanisa kangaki wena?
3.
So the line, how long for Nina this span? How long is span the line?
I think it's been a year now.
Yeah, it's span a grant.
Yeah, it's span a grant.
Oh, okay, sharp. Okay, so it's important for you to understand the network. Well, PRASA operates rail services across 40 corridors in South Africa's major metropolitan areas. Now, these aren't just train lines. They're economic arteries that connect townships to CBDs, students to universities and workers to industrial hubs. By 2024, PRASA had restored 35 of the 40 corridors. That's over 1,000 kilometers of overhead electrical equipment that had to be replaced. Hundreds of stations brought back to life. That's over 77 million passenger journeys completed in the 2024-2025 financial year alone, nearly double the previous year. The numbers also tell a recovery story, but they don't capture what it means when someone from Soweto can afford to go to work again, or when a student from Umlazi can reach Durban reliably. That's what this series is all about. The human impact of infrastructure. And even as you can see people walking around us, people are using this train by the thousands daily. Now, what you're looking at represents South Africa's industrial ambitions. These aren't imported solutions. They're built here at the Gibela facility in Nigel, where they employ 1,150 people and they use 150 tons of steel locally produced to make these trains. Each 6-coach configuration accommodates up to 1,200 passengers. That's 200 people per coach that can be accommodated, moving at speeds of up to 120 kilometers per hour on rail infrastructure that was designed over a century ago, but had to be rebuilt for modern demands. The design itself carries meaning. The exterior takes expression from the protea, South Africa's national flower, with angular lines reflecting the country's multidimensional society. But when you get inside, you've got large windows that flood the cabin with natural light. The spacious interior even evokes a traditional African veranda feel, a gathering place for community, for connection. These new Gibela trains, they consume significantly less energy than their predecessors, thanks to lightweight stainless steel construction methods, things that are moving us forward. 90% of the components are actually recyclable. They're built for South Africa's very unique 1-meter gauge tracks, and they comply with international safety standards, while they also address local security concerns. The copper content has been reduced by 90% because that was a problem, because a lot of theft primarily was around that. That was the incentive, the copper. They've taken that away. Wide entrance doors accommodate wheelchairs, parents with prams, and elderly passengers. Overhead luggage racks, these provide secure storage. A lot of this was available, but it was becoming dilapidated in the older designs. The interior itself, it designs and prioritizes fluid passenger movement and accessibility. This is transport designed for everybody. Currently, 268 train sets are operationally ready across PRASA's network. As production continues, this PRASA fleet, this train Yabantu, will grow and thus enable higher frequency and expanded services. So one of the core things is safety when you're on the network. There are, I think I've counted something like 8 or 9 security personnel on this train. It's very safe. That's one of the things that I think I have to sort of highlight, just off the bat. Very helpful. They kind of give very clear instructions, and they make you feel like it's a markedly better service. And I wanted to say this a long time ago. This is on par with a lot of the trains, and even better than the trains that I used to ride in when I was in Europe. So right in SA, PRASA. Understanding PRASA's recovery requires understanding what was lost. During 2020 lockdowns, when security personnel were temporarily absent, criminal syndicates moved in systematically. In one 24-hour period, over 6 kilometers of cable vanished, disappeared, stolen. Entire stations were reduced to shells. Signaling systems were completely stripped. Substations were gutted. It was really bad. More than 95% of PRASA's national infrastructure sustained some damage. This cost wasn't just financial, it was also social. Communities dependent on affordable transport found themselves very much isolated, with taxi fares double or even triple the cost of rail. The restoration has had to be methodical. On-track assets, rails, points, sleepers, ballasts. Off-track assets, fencing, bridges, platforms, drainage systems, overhead electrical equipment spanning hundreds of kilometers. All of this had to be replaced. Signaling systems enabling safe train movement. All of this had to be redone, rebought. Each element essential, each requiring restoration before trains could run again. PRASA has reinvested though, investing over 21 billion rand in capital spending in 2024-2025 alone, creating 12,988 direct jobs and inducing 71,700 additional job opportunities across the economy. All of this totals 84,700 plus jobs in the process. Security protocols now include personnel deployment across all recovered corridors, law enforcement partnerships, and even infrastructure protection. And on top of that, all of these measures include walling off high-risk areas that I even saw as we were going up and down the lane. For decades, this was the lifeline. The railway connecting Soweto right here in Naledi, South Africa's most populous township, to Johannesburg's economic center. This train carried the dreams and the daily routines of millions of Sowetans and Gautengers. For nearly 3 years, these tracks behind me, they stopped, they fell silent to things like cables being stripped, stations being gutted, and a community severed from its opportunity of affordable travel. But today, we're riding the Naledi to Johannesburg train. It's now been restored, it's operational. And for Soweto's residents, this isn't just about transportation. It's about the dignity of people, the possibilities, and the connection to economic survival. So, You're asking yourself where we're going. So in this series, we're going to take you through 4 distinct rail landscapes. We're starting here in Gauteng, where we are. And this place serves Africa's economic engine. The lines radiating from Park Station connect Soweto's 1.3 million residents, East and West Rand communities, as well as Pretoria's government corridors. This is a high-volume urban rail system at its most complex. KwaZulu-Natal, well, that features the critical Umlazi-Durban corridor that serves hundreds of thousands of people every single day. Here, the rail connects coastal communities to the port city's economic opportunities with unique infrastructure challenges shaped by terrain and climate. The Western Cape, well, that represents the spatial apartheid legacy most starkly. Cape Flats communities deliberately placed far from economic centers depend on rail to access Cape Town CBD and its industrial areas. The famous Southern Line tells decades of South Africa's history. The Eastern Cape shows what recovery looks like in smaller metros. East London and Gqeberha, these two represent PRASA's commitment beyond the major centers, and it also demonstrates that rail transformation must reach every corner of the country. So what does this all mean? Well, rail affordability transforms household economics. A 24 Rand return trip versus a 50 Rand by taxi means an extra 26 Rand daily. Over 500 Rand monthly saved for regular commuters. That's groceries, school fees, healthcare. The difference between sustainable employment and economic exclusion even. Beyond individual impact, restored rail reduces road congestion. It also lowers carbon emissions and it enables transit-orientated development. Stations become community hubs, supporting housing, retail, and even localized services. Economic activity clusters around reliable transport infrastructure. PRASA's property development strategy leverages station areas for affordable housing and even student accommodation, thus multiplying the social return on the rail investment itself. This isn't just about moving people, it's about catalyzing broader urban development while you're doing this. So it's actually so crazy to me that we don't use these trains like a lot more often. Whether you're doing like simple stuff like trying to get to Soweto or whatever, it's never like in your thought. And I think it's one of these things why we're doing this series, so that we can show you like you can actually use PRASA services and they are efficient and they do work. This is a really proper service. And I'm not just saying that because, I mean, just look at the trains. There's probably hundreds of people on this train right now. It's the mid-morning train. It's around 10 o'clock on a Thursday. And it's pretty full and it's super affordable. I mean, the tickets were 7 Rand, like I said. So you can go and come back. Think about how much a taxi costs. The service frequencies at PRASA will surely increase as more corridors stabilize. Weekend services will expand. For the line that we were on, down to Naledi, these run 6 days a week. Additional routes will reopen through 2025 and 2026. The goal isn't just to restore what's existed, it's to build what South Africa really needs. A modern, efficient, affordable rail network that serves millions of South Africans daily. The journey from near collapse to recovery isn't complete, but momentum is building. Each restored corridor, each station proves what is possible. Each million passengers carried demonstrates demand. Each locally manufactured train represents industrial capability that's coming back. So with all that said, over this series, we're going to show you PRASA's network as far wide as we can. Station by station, or at least as many as we can get to, route by route, region by region. We'll ride with commuters, examine infrastructure, explore innovations, and also document the transformation that's taking place here. Because when South Africa's train moves, South Africa moves. And when the people's train runs, it runs for everyone. So you know what? Welcome aboard. Thank you for watching this video up until this point. I hope it was just as interesting for you to watch as it was for us to make for you. Now, this is part of a collaboration that I'm doing with PRASA, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. Maybe check out one of these other videos and hopefully they'll be just as interesting as this one. Cheers.